If Governor Bill Lee gets his way, Tennessee will become a major player in a network of taxpayer-funded charter schools set up by a Michigan college with close ties to former President Trump.
Lee calls Hillsdale College's approach to teaching civics, quote, informed patriotism. But as News Channel 5 chief investigative reporter Phil Williams discovered, the college's history and its teaching materials reveal why critics say its approach is anything but informed.
I'm proud of the informed patriots that are graduating from our Tennessee schools, but there's still more to be done.
At first glance, there may have been no apparent connection between Tennessee Governor Bill Lee's State of the State and the events of January 6th.
We need fresh patriots to the front!
The repeated acts of violence.
But if you let us in there, that machine will be gone.
The fanatics determined to stop the peaceful transfer of power. The attacks on police officers. Yet in the governor's speech,
For decades, Hillsdale College has been a standard bearer in quality curriculum and in the responsibility of preserving American liberty.
Lee announced an educational partnership with Hillsdale College out of Michigan, a college that gave a platform last fall to one of its regular speakers.
That it was really much more hoax than insurrection.
Who argued January 6th wasn't really an effort to overturn an election.
Of course, it is absolutely critical to the Democratic narrative that the January 6th incident be made to seem as violent and crazed as possible.
It was a message reprinted in a journal distributed by Hillsdale College to its 6 million subscribers.
I believe their efforts are a good fit for Tennessee, and we are formalizing a partnership with Hillsdale to expand their approach to civics education and K-12 education in Tennessee.
And Lee's goals, the Hillsdale president revealed in a recorded speech, are ambitious.
The governor of Tennessee has talked me into a commitment to start 50 charter schools in Tennessee by his sell-by day.
While Hillsdale's videos paint a glowing picture of its approach to teaching children, we wanted to see for ourselves. This is the 1776 curriculum put out by Hillsdale. This is the American Government and Politics section. Reading through here, it's pretty clear they have a side in telling the story. This page says, it's important to note the major and meaningful efforts Republicans made to guarantee the rights of African Americans. But when it comes to progressive policies by Democrats, those are called a rejection of the principles of the Declaration of Independence as well as the Constitution.
So the 1776 curriculum kind of has their own view of Dr. King and kind of what he would believe today.
Nashville historian David Ewing reviewed the materials that Hillsdale developed.
I have a dream.
Materials that embrace a few carefully selected words from Dr. Martin Luther King.
My poor little children will one day live in a nation where they will not be judged by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. I have a dream.
That one moment of that famous great 20th century speech of judging people by the content of their character, not the color of their skin, cannot just be a meme or taken in a vacuum.
On the bloody struggle of African Americans to get the right to vote, Hillsdale says teachers should emphasize the positive. What was unique to America was the right to vote at all, and then the relatively rapid rate at which the right to vote was expanded.
Yes, it did take other countries longer to get the right to vote, but we fought for the right to vote.
Progress that is definitely being made.
Hillsdale says students should be taught that the civil rights movement was almost immediately turned into programs that ran counter to the lofty ideals of the founders. That King appealed to the individual conscience and not the force of law to bring about a colorblind society, ignoring the fact that King fought for civil rights laws that outlawed discrimination in public places and protected the rights of blacks to vote.
Hillsdale is trying to say, be more like Dr. King, but only using a few of his sentences and not looking at his entire life's work.
And the law opening up lunch counters and outlawing discrimination in restaurants, hotels, and theaters, Hillsdale says this was where the line between private conscience and government coercion began to blur.
the restaurants, every single restaurant in downtown Nashville, they would not serve you. And these were private businesses, and that was their argument. We're private businesses, we should allow us to decide who comes in and dines in our restaurant.
And this curriculum basically says they were right.
This curriculum says that private businesses should be allowed to decide who enters their business.
We got work to do.
Modern social justice movements, Hillsdale teaches, are not based on the founders' view of equality, but on what it calls identity politics that, quote, make it less likely that racial reconciliation and healing can be attained.
They're talking about what people are trying to do today, then they're almost saying that Dr. King would not be in support of that.
Black Lives Matter, for
Yes.
example.
America is fast mutating from a republic.
And just like that speaker back at Hillsdale warned of what he called an unaccountable administrative state,
Rule by unelected bureaucrats and judges was not exactly what Alexander Hamilton and James Madison had in mind.
Hillsdale's curriculum says students should be taught that modern-day laws regulating clean air and clean water are examples of that administrative state, that such laws are reminiscent of the lack of representation against which the colonists revolted.
History is complicated and it's complex and it's ever-changing. And for us to have one person's version of history and not more established academic versions that are taught at Austin Peay and ETSU and the University of Tennessee, I don't think that's good for our school children.
Again, the question is, should your tax dollars be used to teach children what historians argue is a distorted view, in this case, of the civil rights movement? News Channel 5 repeatedly tried to schedule an interview with someone from Hillsdale, but the college never made anyone available. Because we want you to be able to decide for yourself, we've posted excerpts from those teaching materials so you can read them for yourself.